Good evening. I'm Nora O'Donnell. Scott is on assignment in Havana, and we'll be hearing from him in just a moment. It was the best-kept secret in the world until President Obama went on national television today to reveal it.
Today, the United States of America is changing its relationship with the people of Cuba.
Nearly 54 years after President Eisenhower severed diplomatic ties with the communist dictatorship, President Obama said it is time to restore them. Two countries separated by just 90 miles, but more than a half a century of hostilities, including a failed attempt to overthrow Fidel Castro, the Cuban Missile Crisis that brought the world to the brink of nuclear war, and a U.S. embargo. Today, the president said it is time to cut loose the shackles of the past. We have a team of correspondents covering this historic day, beginning with Major Garrett at the White House.
I am convinced that through a policy of engagement, we can more effectively stand up for our values and help the Cuban people help themselves as they move into the 21st century.
It started this March with a meeting between President Obama and Pope Francis at the Vatican. The president then authorized direct talks with Cuba about the release of U.S. aid worker Alan Gross and the potential opening of diplomatic relations with the Castro regime. White House advisors Ben Rhodes and Ricardo Zuniga, seen here conferring in the Oval Office, met secretly with Cuban officials in Ottawa, Canada in June 2013. A series of talks led to a final meeting with top Catholic officials at the Vatican in October. In a 45-minute phone call with Castro from the Oval Office Tuesday, President Obama finalized the release of Gross and a prisoner swap. It was the first substantive phone conversation between a U.S. president and a Cuban leader since the Cuban Revolution in 1959. The U.S. released 3 members of a spy network known as the Cuban Five. In exchange, the Castro regime released an unnamed Cuban national who had served 20 years in jail for working as a U.S. spy.
This man, whose sacrifice has been known to only a few, provided America with the information that allowed us to arrest the network of Cuban agents that included the men transferred to Cuba today, as well as other spies in the United States.
The U.S. will now review Cuba's designation as a state sponsor of terrorism. Cuban Americans will be able to send more money to family in Cuba, and U.S. credit and debit cards will soon be accepted there. In Havana, Castro acknowledged the historic breakthrough. He said, "The progress made in our exchanges proves that it is possible to find solutions to many problems." The U.S. will build an embassy in Havana, and the administration is already lifting certain trade and travel restrictions with Cuba. But, Nora, only Congress can fully eliminate all commercial barriers between the nations, and the White House admits that will be an uphill political battle.
A fight indeed. Major Garrett, thank you.